Welcome back to another episode of Lawyer Up and to the Right. I'm joined today by my co-host, Cesar Cobo. First one, 2026. How are we doing, Cesar? How was your holiday break?
Yeah, it was great. It was the first time in a long time that I really truly unplugged, and it felt a little weird, but it was well needed.
Yeah, it was almost too long. I've been overusing this a lot on calls. It's like my go-to Zoom, how we doing, Happy New Year thing. But man, Christmas falling and New Year's falling in the middle of the week just totally blew up 2 weeks. And then you throw in Thanksgiving, it just feels like it's been a wave of interest in terms of leads, in terms of clients this past week, coming back off the New Year break. So it's good to be back. And today we're going to be talking about automations for law firms. I think automations, especially when you start sprinkling in AI, has become a bit of a buzzword, but there's very few agencies, I think, that really know how to leverage automations properly for clients, because it's a very fine line between coming off as a robot versus helping you to speed up workflows. We always gear towards the latter, which is to help speed up workflows, to help get more work done, and help do so in a way that doesn't come off as impersonal. So we're going to go through 3 examples from one of our clients. He is a very large criminal defense firm in Texas, Richard McConaughey. So without further ado, Cesar, let's go into automation number 1, review automation. How are we helping to automate reviews for Richard and his law firm?
So I do think it's important to distinguish for anyone who doesn't have a deep understanding of what we're talking about when we say automations. I like to look at it as there's 2 different types of automations, right? There's the typical automation where that's been around forever prior to ChatGPT or Gemini or any of these LLM models coming out. It's a linear process. You're telling it, if this happens, then do X. Right? They're great in terms of they save you a lot of time from doing repetitive, monotonous type of work. But the next frontier, or what we're working towards now, is using an agent, using sort of a brain that's connected to a Claude or a ChatGPT. And those are AI automations. So I just wanted to make that distinction because there's a lot of that going around. It's a buzzword. AI in general is like a really big buzzword. So it's important to understand the limitations of an automation. So what we have now is it's a straightforward, truly an automation. We use a software called Go High Level to create this. It requires no coding. It's basically you're just connecting nodes to each other, and it's a linear process. So the first thing that we set it up for was to collect reviews. And this is something that a lot of law firms, they struggle with because they may not have a dedicated person that's going to stay on top of every file, or if they're trying to collect reviews before the file even closes, you ask for the review, but maybe there's no follow-up. There's no text messages, there's no emails, and typically people just need reminders. You may call them at a certain time when they're not available. If that's the only attempt that you're making to try to get them to leave you a review, then that's going to limit your abilities. We like to have both the automation follow-up and the call as well. So it's not that we're saying that if you set up an automation that sends a text message and an email, then you shouldn't call or anything like that, because you do get better results from the call. But using the automation to augment what you're already doing it's been a game changer for this particular client. The amount of reviews that he gets is crazy. And because he has multiple locations, we're able to then sort of funnel the reviews to the area that we want to focus on. And what I'm talking about here is mainly for the Google business profile, so you can rank in the maps. Reviews play a big factor there, so we're able to harvest these reviews and use them in the location that we're primarily focused on at the given time.
What does one of those review automation outreach templates look like? Like what's included in that message?
It's a text message and an email message that goes out. It's a very simple, it depends, right? If it's at the end of the case, it's like, we appreciate you working with us. It could say anything. It's basically just letting them know that you're asking or that you would appreciate a review. And this is something that you need to sort of be careful with. But if you're doing that and you're sending them directly to your Google business profile, remember, this is on automation. So every file that you close or any phone call that comes in that you're asking for a review, they're going to get this text message and they're going to get this email. So So if you send it to someone who maybe wasn't happy for whatever reason, and you're leaving a link directly to your Google business profile, or it could be anything, it could be your Avo or it could be your Yelp, you can leave the link to go wherever you want it to go. But if it's going directly to there, they may leave you a bad review. And that's sort of the risk to this. We try to mitigate that risk by having what's called a NPS survey. So it's a question, hey, what would you rate our service? And it's a 5-star, 4-star. So anything that's a 4 and 5-star will then redirect them to the platform where we want them to leave the review. Anything less than a 3-star will just redirect them to a form where it's sort of internal. It doesn't become public facing, and they can leave whatever sentiment they have of why they're not happy.
So that's automation number one. I think that for most lawyers watching this, that's pretty straightforward. Again, automations for reviews is kind of like a catch-all. It's still very helpful to have somebody who's calling, hammering the lines, texting. Manual review outreach works better, but this is just a fail-safe to catch reviews from happy clients. Automation number two, Caesar, this is a little bit more on the sales side, intake side than marketing, which is sending automations to pre-qual or warm-up before an attorney actually jumps on the call.
Yeah, so this is particularly important if you're typically not speaking to the caller, and by that I mean the attorney getting on the phone with the caller. So if you have your intake team that takes down the information, pre-qualifies the lead, and say, okay, they're qualified, and then the next step is, hey, our attorney is going to give you a call back. Usually that's going to be whenever the attorney has time. The attorney might be in trial, he may be in a meeting, whatever the case is. So it's not like you can even give them a window of, hey, we're going to call you back at this time. We created an automation within Clio. So that's the CRM that this particular client is using, but you can do this with just about any CRM. So whenever there's a status change inside of Clio, the intake staff member will change the status to needs a callback. That will then be the trigger that we use to send out an automation, again, a text message and an email talking about the lawyer. It's sort of like your sales pitch in a way, and just warming them up to who the attorney is. This is also a great opportunity if you have some sort of a VSL or like a video where you can come across as being like the guy that they should hire for this. It has improved our answer rate. I can't think of another way to say it. It's improved the answer rate, because a lot of time the attorney was calling and getting voicemails, them not knowing who was calling, or them just not really feeling the urgency to pick up the call. So since we started and since we launched that automation, the answer rate has been a lot higher, which makes everything a lot more efficient, and of course is going to increase the amount of cases that you're able to assign.
Yeah, I think that's important, because I beat this drum all the time talking to clients on consults that marketing and your intake need to go hand in hand. They need to work together, not against each other. And you can't expect to do one with really out the other operating at full capacity either. And that can be hard. I mean, if you're investing a lot into marketing, or you don't have enough leads to have like a full intake team, or maybe you're even still answering the calls. I talked to a lot of attorneys who were doing plenty of cases, but the attorneys still like to kind of do the sales themselves in a sense, right? Or talk to clients, or maybe they feel like they have to, because if you're in criminal defense or maybe family, an attorney is going to have to talk to them at some point. Mm-hmm. This is a great way to hedge your time. We do this in our world too. If you opt in for one of our consultations, you're going to get, I don't like to do too many. I'll do an email and a text message 2 hours before and an hour before to remind them of, one, hey, you have this call coming up, but two, also a piece of value for context of why, how, when they booked the call, a little bit about who we are, because a lot of the times, if people are looking for legal advice, they're probably talking to multiple attorneys at a time, right? So it's good to send a little bit of context with that message too, to differentiate yourself and really just warm them up and give them a reason to pick up the call. Because I went through this recently where I missed a call from a very important sales prospect because I don't pick up numbers I don't know. I'm not even that young, you know what I'm saying? I'm almost 40 years old, but like I don't pick up phone calls that I don't know because we just get bombarded with calls. So that happens quite a bit with people. You're calling someone, they don't pick up because they don't recognize your number, they don't have it saved. And they're like, let me just let it go to voicemail. And then I don't listen to voicemails. So, text message is also important too, because we want to hit them with a text message to really punch that in.
It's also for the follow-up to the call. So if if the attorney calls and they don't answer, that's another status change. Called no answer, and then that triggers the follow-up automation of, hey, we tried calling you, you can call us back, a follow-up series. So ideally the attorney's going to try again to call, but this is just an extra layer of giving yourself as every opportunity as possible to get this person on the phone, because remember, they've already been qualified. So this is somebody that you want to talk to, that you can potentially help.
Yeah, absolutely. The third automation that we've got today, Caesar, is going to be for contract follow-ups.
Yeah.
Right. So talk a little about how we do this.
Yeah, I mean, another pain point that we hear all the time, and this came about because we like to get reports on how these leads are panning out. So we started to see a lot of these contracts out, and sometimes it was upwards of like 10 of them in a month, right? And then ultimately some of those ended up just never panning out. They said they wanted to do it, they were ready to go, they were ready to sign, but they never actually signed the contract. So we have again another the trigger there is in Clio. You can have contract out or contract sent. That is just going to start the follow-up series where we give it 24 hours. If they haven't sent it back within 24 hours, the first message will go out. Then I believe it's like another 24 hours, the next message, and then a 2-day period before the last one goes out. So, and these are like little simple things, but even if it nets one extra case that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise, this is a set it and forget it type of thing, right? You're not paying anyone to do this. So it's very well worth it.
It's also a very appropriate time for automation as well. Sometimes as business owners or lawyers, right, we're a little bit too close to the process to put ourselves in the shoes of the person who's the prospect. I do this all the time with our agency stuff, Caesar, right? People see our marketing all over the place. They go out of their way to book a call on our calendar, right? Because we have no contact forms, we have no phone numbers. You have to book a time on our calendar. I do that on purpose. It's to create a little bit of accountability on the prospect's part, right? It tells you that you really want this, you're interested, and it's a certain level of accountability. I go through a very deep analysis process, proposal process. There's hours and hours of work that goes into our proposals here. And then there's like this expectation that they're going to close or even respond. And, sometimes I'm so close to our process that I forget that they're human beings. Number one, they have their own life. They have a personal life. They've got a million things going on in their business. I'm asking them to invest a lot of money. It might take time. There could be cash collection cycles on their end. There could be contracts that they currently, the point is there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in the prospects. And sometimes as the salespeople or the lawyer trying to close an account, we forget that and we get caught up in our own side of it, which is, man, I did a consult with you. Like I told you I was going to make you money on your injury case, or, I told you I would help save the relationship with their child in a family divorce. But like there's a million things going on. And sometimes people need a bump, they need a reminder. So this is definitely an appropriate time to use simple bumps, simple follow-ups to just push them over the edge. So that's 3 automations. There's a ton of automations that we actually use for the sake of brevity for this video. There's a lot of other stuff. I don't know, Caesar, if you want to just rapid fire some other things that we do for automations, I can think of another one that we use quite a bit. It's reporting automations. As Caesar alluded to, traditionally automations are linear, right? Like an if statement, right? So a platform like Zapier, which is essentially saying like, if a contact comes in from XYZ source, then we're going to push it into your CRM in this category, right? So we do a lot of simpler automations like that. And they're not simple because they're so difficult and complicated to put up, but they're incredibly impactful. And that's really automations between marketing and sales, right? So automation tagging from traffic source. So when a lead comes in from Facebook versus Google organic versus social media, tagging and then tracking that and then automatically pushing between platforms. So from your marketing platform like Google Ads into your sales platform like Clio or Lead Docket, whatever it is that you're using as a CRM, automations like that are incredibly important. And there's also email and text message automations that are tied to when a new contact is created inside of your CRM, right? So it can send out email notifications, text message notifications for new leads to help them out in the process, letting them know what's coming up next, etc. So there's simple automations like that. I'll just go with the most stuff here too, Caesar, off rip. More complex automations, as Caesar alluded to, would then be taking those linear automations and then adding an AI brain inside of that, right? That's what an AI agent is. They're becoming very popular. We do that a lot with our content for clients. We have AI agents that we built, that we're continuing to build too, that help to not just automate a process, but allow us to think inside of that process, right? Using an AI brain inside of that to analyze previous conversations automations to analyze previous content and then write custom stuff, right? So this could be used inside of sales too. You can apply an AI brain inside of your sales follow-ups to say, instead of sending the exact same email every time as a templated canned response, we can have an AI agent, an AI brain go in, analyze the past messages sent to that prospect. Okay, they haven't opened 4 of these, right? Or they did open, they responded, hey, I need 30 days. The AI can then say, okay, 30 days, and then I'm gonna send a custom follow-up based on that. So there's a lot of different ways that AI is helping to improve automations, to make them more personal, make them more custom. It's quite a bit of work to do that, but we do this for clients all the time. We do it for ourselves all the time. We're doing a lot of AI agentic builds for clients because sometimes these aren't a one-size-fits-all solution and you want something a little bit more customized and tailored to your firm, to your voice, and ultimately to your clients as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You could potentially have the AI agent not only follow up and make the call for you and have an AI voice. So there really is, the only limitation is your creativity. Another one that came to mind actually that we also have set up is for this particular attorney is he also does traffic tickets, and there is a way that you can just basically check out on the landing page. So you never even have to call or anything. You can just put in your credit card information. And I mean, it has to fit certain parameters for that to be the case with the ticket. But we have a cart abandonment, and that happens all the time with e-commerce, right? You go to purchase something, you forget about it, you leave the website, and then you get a reminder, text message and email, hey, you forgot to check out, basically. There really is no limit. And what I did want to show real quick here is we use a software to set this up. Software we use is called Go High Level, and this is what the automation inside of the platform is going to look like. This is a workflow, which is what they refer to as their automation. So here are all the triggers that we talked about: sent contracts, scheduled an appointment, did not call back, they will call back. So all of these are the different tags that it's looking for inside of the CRM and inside of Clio. You may not have a CRM, or you don't, or maybe the CRM that you have is very limited in what it can automate. So this might look a bit intimidating if you really, if you haven't messed with it or you don't know what you're looking at. We can build it for you, and you don't need to have a CRM. There's other platforms. One is Make and N8N. Those are like the two more popular ones that you can build everything in there. So you don't need to have a Clio. You don't need to have a Go High Level. You don't need to have any sort of a CRM to do this. There's software and there's tools specifically for this. And if you don't want to learn it and build it yourself, it's something that we can do for you.
So that's all we got for this week. Again, if you need help with automations, if you need help with AI systems, or just good old-fashioned marketing and advertising, customer acquisition, that's really what we do best. So there's a link below this video. You can book a time on my calendar directly, and we can chat about it and see how we can help your law firm. Until then, like, subscribe, and we'll see you next week.